Done our dough, chaps. We've done our dough.
Hello, welcome back to another week of Odds, week 31. We've done our first 30 eps and now we're into a new season, I'm going to call it. Got a special guest on the couch, my good mate Clay. He's going to give us something like, good to have you on board, taking the pressure off my shoulders and talking for 20 eps straight. Good. So we'll just have a quick debrief of last week, which wasn't particularly flash, that Geelong meeting. Return of around about $25 out of the 50. Holy Mans was a good winner. Probably should have had more on that because it was going back to back in that race. Le Ferrari was good at 20-1, running a place. But apart from that, it was a few sliding doors with Quinellas, not much back. So overall, before that week, we were about 8.5% return. And now it's come down. We're overall 7. The racing component dropped from 9.65 to 7.66. Sport, the bet was voided. One of the soccer players didn't start, so that was $20 back, so it didn't affect anything. So it's still about a 5% return there. So overall, it's around about 7%. So things are pretty, yeah, they've been sort of tumbling down and down. So anyway, we'll get cracking with today and start with Magic Millions, which you're not particularly enamored with.
No, I'm not a big fan of betting on 2-year-olds. I think they're very pretty tall. It's hard to find tempo of races with 2-year-old races because if you look at that field, there's not too many that have had sort of more than 2 starts, 3 starts. They're all sort of amateur racing, so it'll be very hard, and hence the open market. It'll be very hard to determine tempo in that field, who's going to go to the front, etc. Because you're judging horses based off 1 or 2 starts, so they haven't truly developed that racing pattern yet, is my view.
I agree. I think that generally in the Magic Millions, I haven't tracked this exactly, but I feel like there's always a lot of leaders, a lot of speed. Like there's about 10 horses that will always sort of compete for the lead and make it a really
correct. Big field too. So it's tricky, with barriers. Exactly right. 10 or 11 of the horses are going to go to the front. Will it be set up for back markers? And you don't know who the back markers are going to be at this point. So it's a don't touch race.
It's a
definitely a don't touch race. Yeah.
It feeds into my pattern of liking of trying to get a big belly Quinella taking 4 or 5 runners. I've picked out something. What was that? Was it in Sydney, that horse that came from was it Bel Esprit that came from near last that time, or Belle de Jour?
Yeah. Oh,
was that the Singleton?
Is that Clary Connors? Did he frame Belle de Jour?
I think so.
Yeah, and won the Magic Millions talking about.
I think it was the other one,
the Golden Slipper.
Golden Slipper.
Yeah. Belle de Jour, I think, came down the outside. I think that was Belle de Jour.
I think Belle de Jour.
Say that was like 02.
Yeah, I trust your
maybe.
They're listening to that better.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on that one. But yeah, I think you're right in that regard. Clary Connors and Gay obviously trains for a lot of Singleton and horses in particular colours. The blue with the
cross.
Yeah, around it. So yeah, you're probably right. Bel Esprit did win. Bel Esprit, obviously it's a fairly successful stud horse now. That did win a Magic Millions from memory. I think it's one of the big 2-year-old race. One of the big 2-year-old races.
Definitely. And was Ken and Sheedy a part owner of that?
Correct. Potentially, yeah. I'm not sure. We're going back.
Going back 20
years. Yeah.
Good old days.
Yeah. I haven't even followed the Magic Millions. There's not a lot of horses that win the Magic Millions that go on to become very good racehorses either, as 2-year-olds.
Hence why it's a listed race, it always seems to be.
Yeah.
Because they don't really...
There's not a lot of... Yeah, you don't really hear... I mean, I can't think off the top of my head, the last Magic Millions winner that won the Golden Slipper, that won the Golden Slipper, so...
No.
Give any off the top of my head.
And I watch this every year, and I really can't tell you who won the last 5 years.
Yeah.
At the time, I'm sort of oh, that's good. There was one at about 6-1 that I remember winning maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But other than that, nothing. The only thing that I think I remember was, this was going back about maybe 15 or so years, but it was the year that Paprika was a massive favourite for the Magic Millions, and I had the quaddie. As it turned out, I had all the other legs. The quaddie that day it was 20-1, 50-1. In the last leg, I had 5 horses, and the winner paid 20, and I had it. And Paprika got run down by Feelin' Ready.
Feelin' Ready, okay, yeah, I remember that horse.
Who at that time had only won 2 races, and they were the Golden Slipper and the Magic Millions.
Yeah, okay.
And at 50-1, it ran down Paprika that was even money. So, I mean, it would have paid a lot less with Paprika, but still, the other dividends, the other runners were...
Yeah, I mean, it's open. You can tell, look at the market. The favourites, 6-1. There's 5 or 6 in the field that are under double digits. So, obviously, the bookies, they're uncertain about who should run favourite, and reasonably so too, because as I said, most horses have had 2-3 starts in the race. And the majority of the favourites have had 1 start. There's a couple of horses in there that have had 1 or 2 starts. So
it's so hard to line up. Exactly like you say, a lot of them have 2 or 3 starts. Some are at the Gold Coast, some are at Eagle Farm, could be even like Toowoomba.
Yeah, correct.
Things like, I think Quietly Arrogant would almost be in that $7 to $8 bracket if it had drawn a gate. I think that the way that accelerated to win at its last start, I think it was in Sydney. Yeah, the Randwick, oh no, it won at Caloundra, but it ran a place against City. But I really like the way that's been running, so I want to have something on that. I'm sort of a bit of when it gets to these races, I'm a bit sentimental. I do go with names a bit, so like Secret Sort, a bit of alliteration there with the double S's, Love of Flutter, that's right up my alley. So I'm going to throw those into a Quinella. I'm just, in terms of like each way betting, I just can't get around in a horse like Invincible Woman, where I know it was a good win, but like it's one win at the Caulfield Heath and it accelerated around the bend, great. But like a lot of horses probably can do that. And there's nothing really to know whether that was an unusual performance that it's running.
And that Caulfield Heath is a leader bias track as well. It always is.
Always
is. It's coming in there, going, went to the front, accelerated, terrific on good track. It's a 2-year-old. It's racing clockwise from anti-clockwise for the first time. You don't know how it's going to respond in that way. Like I know it went up there and won a trial. And I mean, you back the jockey, Damien Lane, like he's red hot, good form jockey at the moment, so there's no doubting that. But you don't know how much pace is in the race. Like Labella Boom's the same, one very impressively last start with Craig Williams, and he stuck to it. So which is a sign in itself, because he probably would have had a choice of, a few rides in that race. And also I like the Mick Price and Chance Schofield one. What is it? Space Rider. That's only had one start, but that was quite impressive last start. Draw a barrier, like under the front. Mick, I don't know. Mick Price is a good trainer. Like I don't think he wouldn't travel with a specific horse if he didn't think it would win the race. In my mind, in my viewpoint. So I think I might have something small on Space Rider and Seller, and Labella Boo. But again, they're in the market, just something small each way. Literally.
I'm going to do each way on Quietly Arrogant. If Park can get it into a decent position, I think it'll run better than the 18s. I want to have something on Forgotten Spirit. I like the way that it chased home its last up behind Labella Boom. It's one of the few that's been proven on wet and dry ground, and I know it's probably going to be wet up there this week, but I like the fact that it's got that exposed form. I like the name too. That sort of always helps. I'll do a big Quinella as well. I'll do Quietly Arrogant number 1, Secret Sword number 3, Love of Flood number 4. This will be big, and it'll be for a small percentage. 8, Vain Girl. I'm not too keen on horses out of Blue Point. I don't sort of see a lot of them winning early on, but if it's in any way related to Victory Vain, one of my sort of favourite horses from the past, I want to be on it. So that's 1, 3, 4, 8. And then at 16, Forgotten Spirit. And then 19, Earn to Burn. I just thought the form wasn't that bad. It had run well in 2 trials, and it was, it's 150 to 1 can't be on fixed odds, so I love sort of throwing in things like that. And then Each Way Forgotten Spirit. As you can tell, I'll sort of invest a bit in this race, but just the value I think's pretty decent. And Labella would be the better of the favourites for me. But as I say, like I agree with you. Like
anything to win, anything could win that race.
Given the right run,
you could take 10 horses to that race. So.
Anything in the 3-year-old guineas?
I haven't even had a look, to tell you the truth.
No, it's for me. It was a lot of horses that
I think Stinson Over will be a good chance. Same deal. Caramel's not going to take. He couldn't run an Victoria. It's not going to take it up there if it's a thing it can win. It's one for on the trot, quite convincingly. Good trailing ran on a heavy last start.
It did, and it was. I mean, it's important that it could be able to run on that for this weekend. A lot of these, like Bizusto and Katoji, I know they were from Cup Day. Cosmic Fire's done nothing wrong. I bet on that at one of its earlier wins at Caloundra, and then since it's been running really well, like questionable exactly like the form, but it's drawn a good gate. I mean, that's probably one that I would lean towards. I'll do a Quinella for 11 Cosmic Fire, 17 Arriving Home. The wins were good. I like the Kerry McAvoy's on board. I like Bill Baker as a trainer. I'll throw a Sitson Over, like you said. I just think that, bringing it up there, they're serious, and it's a serious horse, and it's been in the market all the way through these weeks sort of leading up. And Give Me Space as well. I know that it's drawn off the track, but like, I watched the replay last time. I like the way that it ran down. It's going to probably have to do the same again, go back to 14th and then sort of like run on, but it sort of is what it is. And other things like Bitter Creek, I backed that for a big sum in that race at Caulfield. Not Caulfield, the run before the second behind Komochi. I really thought that day it was weighted to almost get up for like a third at that 80 to 1 sort of price. That it was a decent run, but just not as good. Robbie Dolan couldn't work the same kind of miracles as that on the Melbourne Cup winner. So something on like those in the Quinella, 2, 11 and 17. and also the 6 sits him over the favourite. Let's just jump straight back into Flemington because Gold Coast wasn't really grabbing it. Race 1. What are you thinking?
I like Stormy Grove. This is one that we'll be betting on. Pretty weak field. Patrick Payne's decided to bring 3 horses from Ballarat, and my logic, I suppose, behind this is that Billy Egan's, generally speaking, is Patrick Payne's sort of number 1 jockey, and he's decided to put Billy Egan on Stormy Grove. Last start was quite impressive. It sort of came round the outside of the field from near last and sort of came down the outside and ran on well, stepping up 300 metres from its last run. But core Flemington is on a turn at that 1400 metre marker, so good barriers kind of are essential. Now, look, it's going to depend on how the track's playing and things like that. I understand that. But also another factor to take into, obviously Billy Egan's taken the ride at 59.5. See, if Patrick Payne thought the weight was going to be an issue, he probably could have potentially chucked an apprentice on to take those 3 kilos off, just like the favourite is, but he doesn't seem to be fazed by that, which makes me think he's clearly there to win.
Yep.
And then is there. So, yeah, I think, judging by that race, I'm not saying it's going to win, but my logic will point to Stormy Grove to get a good run in transit. It might even go from the barrier, it might go back to last and just circle around the outside of the field like he did at Geelong. Should relish the raise and distance. He won running away from them at Geelong. Like he sort of eased up once he hit the lead at the last sort of 50 metres. So I envisage that he'd be a good chance. I think at 5-1 he's pretty good odds. I'll probably take that 5-1 today. I can imagine he'd get shorter in the market depending on scratchings and all that when they come in.
I think so too. I think that he'll be crunched in. The same people that wanted to be on it when it was scratched recently will jump on. I think what's going to help it is that Acted on Verba and Zorro's Flight are both going to compete for the lead and set up some sort of tempo. I don't know whether it'll be crazy, but there'll be something there. The Zarpo probably, I think, is going to want to do what it did last time and sort of sit forth and cruise away. It's a big horse. It just looks like a Flemington horse that wants that straight to chug and to sort of use the big lungs that it's got. As you said from Barry 7, it's going to be tricky at some point.
Yeah, it's going to depending on how much pace he's got on his inside, whether he can, if he can get him one out, one back, he's done very well. But so apprentice jockeys, you're always skeptical of apprentice jockeys because there's a reason that they get that 3 kilo claim. It's because they just lack the experience. They lack the ability to be aggressive and make those moves when they have to make those moves. Billy Egan is a very, very good jockey. Like he's got the runs on the board and I trust Billy Egan as he's probably the most trustworthy jockey in that field. Him and John Allen's a very good jockey. Don't get me wrong, but I think that it appeases me more and settles my nerves more knowing you've got an experienced jockey, especially on a back marker, because I think Egan will generally make the right decision. You see a lot of, apprentice jockeys, they get trapped on the rail, decide, do I take him to the outside and lose 2 lengths but give me clear running room, or do I sit to the inside? I think they're more susceptible to becoming indecisive or, lacking that decision-making ability rather than your experienced jockey. And that, to me, is that sign. Like, if it shows that Pat Payne's not worried about, Stormy Grove carrying an extra kilo and a half or 2 kilos by not putting, it's worthwhile putting that experienced jockey on and carrying that extra weight in my mind, which is pointing my logic to say, okay, I know he's there to win the race. Like he's not putting him in that race if he thinks he's going to lose.
I like that a lot. And it's like, it's not a free 3 kilos. Like you're getting the 3 kilo claim, but you're getting someone who hasn't got that experience.
Yeah, correct. So
it's, I also want to be on Stormy Grove. It's this one down the bottom I just want to point to for a brief second. Still by Starlight. It's been running and being tailed off 11 lengths, 14 lengths here at Flemington, 16 lengths. And they're keeping on, like it's not being spelled, they're keeping on having a crack at it. So just in terms of like whether that, because I think one of these races it did lead. So, and it's going to only have 51. So I'm just wondering where that will settle, whether that's going to sort of change anything. But in theory, it should be pretty, like if you're an apprentice and you're sort of riding a leader, you just go to the front and then you just rate it according to the times that you know. So that should be quite simple. But yeah, it's when you go into the when everyone's watching you too, because if you're on a favourite, everyone's sort of factoring their runs around what you're going to do. So they're all in this race, all going to be looking at Zarpo and sort of figuring where am I, when am I going to have to pop out, when am I going to have to make my run. So just to add to what you said, I like Stormy Grove because do you remember Graham Illingworth? Friend of my dad's. So I went over to his place and he gave me a bit of a masterclass on sectionals, and I'd sort of gone in just liking this in general, but the sectionals really pointed to Stormy Grove being able to to run a strong 1400. And thanks to Graham for sort of pointing in that direction. But yeah, I'm very keen to see how it's going to run. The only thing is that, and this is something that I don't like, it's horses that either are scratched, like you like them, then they're scratched and you've got to wait, and they're sort of like ticking over for that run, lacking more time until they're back on the track, or things that, this is a sort of a different case, but like where they run, they're like a hard luck story, and then you think, okay, next time they're going to win, and they don't.
Yeah.
Which is the case here, obviously. Yeah. But I'll add something on Stormy Grove. I like it. I'm hoping, just like you said, it's going to go back from that draw. There's going to be a bit of a speed battles up. I'll go into it. It'll circle round. And I think $5 is, to get value, you need to have favourites ahead of you that get beaten. And I feel like Zarko could be a bit vulnerable. And like Rubiquity, I don't think the 390 is that representative. So I'd rather go to Stormy Grove.
Yeah, so
myself.
Yep.
So yeah, race 1 done. Race 2. 2,000 meters, 3-year-old open. This one, I'm really just going to back horse to try and get the bonus bets back and just throw a few dollars around early. I had a look at the favourite, didn't mind it. The barrier's no good. I'd probably rather be on. I know it's a bit of an outsider, but leg drive number 5. I didn't mind the win. It's 10-1. I'll have something small each way just to either hopefully get a bonus bet back or potentially even have a win. Anything for you?
I don't really like anything in the race, but Mr. Verse, just because of the trainer jockey combo.
Yeah,
you like that? I'm a big fan of Tony McAvoy and I like Bo Mertens. Yeah, and same deal with King Cordoba. I just like me price to the trader. It's purely just the trader, and I think that's over the odds at $51 coming off a win last start. So
nice.
Yeah, I think don't mean to beat nothing at 1 3-year-old mate at Warrnambool, as you can see, but yeah, you never know. Might be suited to Flemington. I'm always these trainers that these good traders, I should say. He won at the provincials last start. They don't bring him to Flemington for no reason. My view is he could easily step up a grade at the next provincial meeting and just work his way up. But he obviously thinks he's got some talent if he's bringing it to Melbourne. There's some logic behind it, I think, because it costs more money to get into these races. These races are worth more money, etc. So yeah, I'll have a small medal kick or over in Mr. Verse.
Nice. I also think, from what I've seen lately of races at Flemington, where at 1,600, 1,800 metres, you're getting a lot of horses that might not have, say, the form at the 1,400, then they're stepping up. And like you could go into a race here where you've got a horse like Seguria Rock. The form's second, first, second, but there are other horses here that are going to have less appealing form on paper, but it's all about that improvement. So I feel like favourites in these races are often vulnerable and often you wouldn't want to have a lot on them. So I like you said, go for a bit of value. Race 3, 1,600 metres, back to a smaller field. I'm just going to stick with the favourite, Keep Your Cool. I think it's too hard sort of comparing them. And it's a small field as well. Tricky. I'm saying a very small bet on Keep Your Cool.
Yeah, I've got nothing in that race.
Nothing in that race. Yep. Race 4, adds the 2,500. It's sort of the same old people, Convener, Samuel Langhorne, like all these horses do go around and, the form's never that palatable. Roaring Engine, a specialist for like, it's a long Black Melbourne Cup day.
Yeah.
They'll sort of wheel him out.
Yeah.
I don't want to be part of anything. Flaming Romans always has decent form, it always runs a lot of places. And so you look at it and you think, okay, that's favourite material. For me, it's just a watch race.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah, the same.
We'll move on. Race 5 over the 1,000. You like something in this?
Yeah, I'm on the favourite, York Lustre. My viewpoint for that is Enver Yusevic, same deal. He's a regional trader. He doesn't bring horses to Melbourne unless he thinks they're going to win. Good trade. Trains some good horses, pinstriped. All these horses that he's trained to are generally pretty good horses down the straight. And you look at his last start, he won. He beat nothing, but he won walking away. And Jamie Carr, clearly the best jockey in this race. She's engaged for a reason. Best, good trader, good jockey. But it's clearly the best horse in the race and should win pending a lot of bad luck. I think if it goes out to 250, I'll probably have a fair bit on it. But I think even money's about where it should be. Even though I beat nothing last start, I'm looking at the rest of the field going, well, it's racing, it's something. So it should be a $2 favourite.
It's funny when you have to try and make a case for other horses. Like I was getting to that mindset of this race, thinking, what could beat it? What am I like? What are the like? When you sort of get into that territory, you sort of already know that the favourite's got a too good a case, and you're going to back it, and then you're just trying to find find holes.
No, I think from memory, you look at its last time, it ran the sub 50, just bring it up, but I think it ran the sub 57 seconds in 1,000 metres, which even though it's a benchmark, it ran 56.84. That's fast. That's really fast.
I'm not a times man, so
it's a good track, but that's a fast time. In the Group 1s, they're probably running high 55s. It's about a second slower than a Group 1 horse, but way quicker than a 58, benchmark 58, hence why it's winning like 5.5 lengths. Running away, so I think it's and it drops it away from last start. I think it's just going to be too good, unless it doesn't handle the straight or something bad happens. I can't see it getting beaten. I can't see it not being good enough.
It seemed to both of those races that have won. It seemed to be pretty comfortable in the home straight both times, just incrementally getting away.
Yeah, correct. Sort of going through its gears. Yeah, it did that in that last race too, and it's obviously has some injuries or something like that. It hasn't had a lot of starts. It's a 5-year-old mare, and you see it's. One had a spell for a long time, come back after a bit of a break and had a spell. If you look at it, yeah.
It was 2 long spells.
Yeah, 2 really long spells. So maybe he's had some injuries or had some issues, but obviously, coming back now, you believe it's the trainer used to it, just tend to got it right.
It's a good story because before that, 3 maiden attempts, it wasn't winning by 5 lengths anywhere there, and then they've obviously something to work through, and another long spell, something to work through.
Yeah, so, correct. Identify that issue,
but I can see it probably going out to the lead. It sort of wanted to be outside the leader in both of its runs, so I can see it being probably in the position Trapeze Warrior was in last time. That was sort of setting the tempo down the straight, and it sort of wilted a bit at the end, but it was entitled to. The other horses sort of had a drop on it and didn't have. It was an unimpeded run, but the other horses sort of were just better placed to come out and attack it. I can see that being I can see that running a place here, and I'm just trying to think of ways that York Lustre could lose. I just like the fact that it's gone straight from a 58 to the City Go, where they went right, it's ready, and they probably targeted a smart race where there's a couple of.
This time it is a weak race. Like I know that this race is a very strong race, and I'm usually a big believer in, especially floating down the straight. You want horses that are familiar down the straight, and this trainer knows how to train horses that win down the straight. Pinstripe to these horses that had really good straight records. He's not going to. Oh yeah, I don't think Usavich would put it in this race if he didn't think it was going to win.
Yeah,
and Jamie Carr's the same. She's not going to run horse. She's just thinking it's going to win. She's one of the top 5 jockeys you'd say in Australia at the moment. And she's chosen to obviously stay in Victoria instead of going up to the Gold Coast for a reason. So this it could be the ride. This whatever.
Yeah, it could be.
So,
I'm interested how you are you someone who are you like always using the form, or like if there's just like a jockey combo that you like, you'll sort of throw the form out the window and say this jockey's here for this reason.
Correct. Yeah, 100%. I think I'm a big believer in racing, in checking that and seeing if a rider has come, if a regional or provincial rider comes down to the city and he has one ride, always back that horse.
Love it.
Not saying it's going to win.
For a reason.
Not saying it's going to win, but yeah, always back that horse. If this jockey has given up a booking of full rides at a provincial meeting to come to town and ride one horse, it doesn't come because it thinks the horse is going to lose. So whether it's going to win or not, it doesn't matter. But my logic is, the jockey's riding the horse to win. So you're already got a leg up on the competition because whereas Craig Williams does a booking of 8 rides, he might have 1 or 2 horses that he personally thinks he can win on. The other 6 is like, I'm just collecting the 5%. If I get lucky, I get lucky. Whereas those jockeys don't get these opportunities. If they take that opportunity to come to Melbourne and give up a booking of 7 or 8 rides at a provincial meeting, that jockey's it for a reason.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer in that. And having Caroline's a massive win. Like she's I haven't looked into it too deeply, but I'm assuming she's got a few more rides at Melbourne for the day. But she's giving up the Match of Millions thing. Like she could easily greens and get a full book of rides. So there must be a reason she's decided to stay in Melbourne and ride. And as I said, I'm not saying it is the reason, but it could be one of the reasons. She might see a lot of promise since last start. But if this horse wins convincingly, Flemington today, it could be a horse on to stick on for future sprint races. And I mean, I just look at all the logic saying, well, it's won at 58. You're going to know whether it's a half-decent horse for potential races down the track by winning this. So if it loses this, you go, okay, no worries. But obviously it isn't a listed sprinter, or it isn't a group sprinter, and you find that out very quickly. But you'll find out, if it runs 56.94 tomorrow, it's going to win this race by a big margin, I'll assume. If it runs a similar time, it's going to be a dry track. So
can't wait to see it run down there. Just as a side note, I reckon I'm always looking for exotics, particularly trifectas where there'll be horses at like 20, 30 to 1 to place gettings. I don't see that here. I'm just going to do straight out New York Lustre, and I'm going to do Booney number 1, Trapeze Warrior number 4, and Mr. Maggers number 6 to fill second, and then the same for third, plus number 8, Ella de Montero. I just think it'll be an in the market dominated race. Race 6, 600 metres, 2-year-old 70 grade. And anything for you here?
No, I haven't had a look at this race. Yeah, nothing. I sort of just had two bets for the day at Flemington. The two that I mentioned, race 1 and race 5, are sort of my 2 big bets I'll be having.
Nice.
Everything else sort of nothing, no rushed out of me or stuck out of me today.
I'll do a small something on Enzudo, number 12, but again, it'll sort of be for the bonus bet situation. Race 7, same deal. Race 8, the Standish. Used to always like this race. So 1,200 metres, group 3. Small field, only 10 runners. Aztec Ruler is interesting. I used to back this horse, and it used to run over more ground, sort of a middle distance horse, and now running over 1,000. So I noted that. Jordan Fortune sounds like a Hong Kong. It sounds like such an ex-Hong Kong sort of name.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
And it is.
Even me, I was going to say. But those Hong Kong horses you got to take into account. Even though it's an 8-year-old gelding, they love rock hard tracks.
I love them.
They absolutely thrive on rock hard tracks.
And they're used to us too.
Brilliant first up form. Like you look at his first up record, it's 4 starts, 3 wins. So
that's awesome.
It's something to take into account. Usually I'm a bit sceptical about first up. And look at his record at Flemington, for 2 starts, 2 wins. So you've got to have him if you're going to bet in this race. I think you've got to have him. I think the only thing against him is he seems to be more of a 1,000-metre horse than his 1,200-metre horse.
Yes.
Looking at his record over the distance and things like that. But he's had 3 trials leading into this, so I think he'll be ready. He'll be ready to go with the big weight.
Good trials too.
Yeah, definitely something to take into account, I think. Joyful Fortune. Yeah, I don't like betting on that sort of 8, 9-year-old horses that, geldings that have just had several starts. He's coming off a long spell, 272, was that 9 months? He's coming off a 9-month spell, which is a decent amount of time in the paddock. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Anyway, I'll be watching the race, that's for sure. I mean, it's our time, straight track specialist. Yeah, always, it's going to run a good race. Whether it's going to win or not, really, that horse has had plenty more starts than I'm at hot dinners. So, how many starts has that? There you go, 39 starts. It's had 20 starts at Flemington, 15 starts down the straight for 3 wins and 6 places. So it's only missed a placing. It gets a placing two-thirds of the time it runs down the Flemington straight. So
look at that, $1 million in prize money over that time for 6 wins. And I wonder what the highest one of those wins would have been. That's something I have to check on.
I don't know. Didn't it win a good race at Caulfield recently? Not recently, but where was its last win? Oh, maybe it's the thing I'm thinking. Ran second there. Sorry, it didn't win. Ran second. Yeah,
Garza close. Yeah, that was close.
Yeah.
Oh, it's run a listed race at Flemington.
Yeah, down Flemington.
Big crosshair, but another horse. Always demonstrated.
Do you remember what won first up recently? A massive horse. They hadn't won in like 3 years, and they came and won first up down the straight.
If you throw it to others up with enough times, already.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'll have something small and Deepore. Solid horse stepping up, and I like the second behind Miss Chrissy last time, and I've heard that it's going to be running well, so I like Deepore.
So I don't like the favourite in this either. Perry Hill, I think it's very susceptible. I just look at its record.
22 starts at 4.
Yeah, it's a perennial bridesmaid.
It's a perennial
bridesmaid. It must be one of those horses that just finds trouble. So I haven't looked at the starts, but coming down from Sydney and things like that, it's just, looks like it's had every chance in these runs and it'll be peaked. But Carl makes a huge difference. It's that simple. Jamie Carl makes a huge difference. But again, it's pretty high up in the weights. I think that might be one to lay. If you're thinking about laying a horse, that would be one that I would lay. Never run down the Flemington straight before, so I'm always weary of horses running down the straight for the first time. But that being said, James Cummings knows what he's doing. It's a good trainer, so. But I'll be laying Perry Hill.
I'm so with you on that. I just don't like horses that don't have a good winning strike rate. Like, it's winning less than 25% of the time, and now you're saying, okay, it's going to come out and win this feature race of the day. Right. I just don't like that on principle, even though I know logically I know it's a weak race.
Yeah,
it's a winnable
race. A weak race.
The horses that's been running against, I've sort of looked at these every week, Iron and Merc and Eagle's Nest, they're sort of, always make up the numbers. Wonder Boy is what I'll have something on Deepore, it's something on Wonder Boy. I like the horse that's been running behind. It's right behind Dawn Service, wasn't far away. And that was over 1,400, which wasn't as suitable. Second behind Growing Empire, which at the time was just looking like a world.
Yeah, correct. Growing Empire ran third in the Manicato, didn't it?
Yeah. And it looked like it had that also up before Southport Tycoon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did its classic lunge from...
Yeah, that's right. And they run the second or third?
Second, just got picked.
Yeah,
just got picked in a photo. Race 9 and 10, probably a bit of a skip situation. I feel like we're sort of, coming to the end there. Getting into sport. This is a good opportunity because I know nothing about NFL and you're pretty keen on some stuff this week. So what do you think?
Yeah, I follow the NFL a fair bit. I've got the game through down here with the spreads. It's mainly just spreads I look at and certain things like you got the Ravens against the Steelers this week. Steelers are coming off a pretty bad loss to the Bengals last week, 19-17. Ravens are coming off a huge win over the Browns. But these divisional games are different, and there's a massive rivalry. It's a playoff game. Baltimore are 9.5-point favourites, in which Baltimore are the better team. But the NFL is so unpredictable. And Mike Tomlin, who's coach of the Steelers, has this incredible record as an underdog, like either winning records or just making spreads. So I think Pittsburgh and plus 9.5 for mine are way over. Like I think Baltimore will win the game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than that.
And what odds are these two?
So
roughly?
Baltimore $1.14, but the line it's about $1.90, I think, for the line. So the spread wise, Pittsburgh plus 9.5, I think is a really good bet. I just think rivalry, divisional game. Baltimore are the better team. Lamar Jackson has been found to be quite vulnerable in the playoffs. He's a bit of a lot of the pundits sort of comparing to James Harden and these guys who are Peyton Manning, who's a star regular season players. They get to the playoffs in the big moments and they tend to, and he did it last year in the AFC Championship game against Kansas City. He just folded under pressure. Essentially, he couldn't match it with Patrick Mahomes. So it's something to take into account. That for mine is a good bet. If anyone's thinking about betting on the NFL this weekend, I think take the spread for Pittsburgh. Not saying they'll win, but I think it'll be closer than the 9.5 spread.
Yep.
And the second game, which I like, is the final game, I suppose, this divisional round, the Rams against the Vikings. Rams have been some pretty good form coming towards the end of the year. They've got their star receiver, Puka Nacua, back. Cooper Kupp, they're starting to get very healthy. The Vikings had a shocker last week, especially Sam Darnold, who's had a pretty good year. He's their quarterback. He had a terrible game against the Lions last week, sort of turned into a bit of a pumpkin, which all the pundits were sort of saying. But I think they'll bounce back. They had a record of, I think they were 14-3, including last week, they were 14-3. So 14-2 going into the last game, potentially if they beat Detroit, the number 1 seed. I think they'll bounce back. I think it's a very close game. I think Vikings are plus or minus 1.5. So I just take the spread and take the Vikings straight out. I think they'll win. I can't see them being one and done in the playoffs after having a 14-2 season. Sam Darnold's been pretty confident. He's had a bad game. I think he'll bounce back. But I mean, the Rams have a combo of Matt Stafford and Sean McVay, who's their head coach. They've won a Super Bowl together. They're very good. They're very good together. And it all comes down to health and nutrition and things like that. But there's a lot of luck in the NFL as well. A receiver might drop a catch here, or a defensive end might not make a tackle here, or a corner might not make a tackle here. And there's also I like betting on underdogs in the NFL. Like I like picking the line, especially in playoffs when you think about it, like Buffalo versus Denver is another one, massive point spread. I think it's 8.5. Buffalo are clearly a better team. They're playing at home. Everything on paper says Buffalo will cover that spread, but it's the playoffs, and Denver have been the biggest surprise of this season. They were tipped to win 5.5 games for the year, and they won 9.
Wow.
So they've way overperformed. Their rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, has been surprisingly good this year. He's a shoo-in to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And they've got Sean Payton. So Buffalo, they're not going to be out-coached. Like Sean McDermott's not going to out-coach Sean Payton on the other side of the ball, so it's something to consider. And, that coach and quarterback combo is always important in a playoff game. And I know Buffalo have Josh Allen. They've clearly got the better quarterback. I think it'll come down to how early, like if Bo Nix is able to get into a rhythm, if Sean Payton calls a good game for him, Bo Nix is able to get into a rhythm and Buffalo don't blow him out to an early, like Buffalo don't get a red hot start, blow him out to an early lead, I think Denver could definitely stay within those 8.5 points. Again, it's the same deal. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think it'll be a lot closer than 8.5 points.
And my first introduction to hearing about the spread was back in The Simpsons when Homer would talk about it.
Yes.
Does it operate the same as a line, or is it different?
It's a line. Yeah, it's a line. It's pretty much a line. So, Pittsburgh getting a 9.5 point end start.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the way to look at it going. They've just got to lose within 10 points.
And it doesn't matter if they clear it by a lot, they've just got to cover it.
Yeah, correct. They just got to cover the spread.
Nice.
That's all it is. So that's why you take the underdogs. Usually have the bigger spreads. The other games this weekend I'm not really touching. Like I like the favourites. Like I like Philly to beat Green Bay. They're 4.5 point underdogs. I like Tampa Bay to beat Washington at home. I think Tampa Bay are a very good team this year at home. They're 3-point favourites as well. I wouldn't bet on that game. But yeah, the big underdogs, I think, especially the Steelers, I just don't think they'll allow themselves to get humiliated in a playoff game by Baltimore. I just don't see it happening, even though there's I just think I haven't looked at the teams either. Like, there's going to be a lot of depending on who's out, things like that, who's healthy. Because the NFL is a game of nutrition. Like, it's truly a game of nutrition in terms of who's healthy at the end of the year, who's peaking at the right time of the year. Because every team has so many injuries. Like Detroit, who are one of the favourites, they're number 1 seed. They're deep. They lost like 6 starters, 7 starters at the beginning, at this time of the year, and they're slowly getting some players back at the right time, coming to the end. But yeah, it should be interesting. But they're my bets. I will be having a multi of Pittsburgh plus 9.5, Denver plus 8.5, and the Vikings minus 1.5.
Nice. And what price roughly will that be?
So probably at $8 maybe. I don't know.
That's pretty juicy.
I'll probably have $20 on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Take the $200 and hopefully, one of them might surprise you and win. It's the NFL. It's so hard to bet on the NFL because strange things happen every week. Like, it's just one of those sports that's really hard to bet on. Yeah, you do get blowouts, but I just the Buffalo Denver game will be really interesting, because if Buffalo just come out and boat racing in the first half and the game's over by halftime, then they'll blow them out. There's no issues. But if Denver are in it at halftime, I can't see Buffalo thrashing it like they might. I see it being a close game. But as I said, Sean Payton's a very good coach for Denver. If he allows Bo Nix to just settle, get into a rhythm, and if they're within a touchdown at halftime or anything like that, I can't see Buffalo blowing them out.
And is boat racing get like
boat racing is just when you get absolutely killed, pretty much, like the term they use. So you go out and, like, Baltimore boat race Cleveland last week, like they won 35-10, wasn't even a competition, a game. Cleveland, by that stage you've got to remember too, Baltimore are playing for the playoffs, Cleveland are taking to try and get a draft pick. So that's something you've got to take into account as well in these games. Just around and say, no worries, the spread. Well, Cleveland don't care if they get blown out because this season's over, they're not making the playoffs. If they lose, they're going to get a bit of draft pick, so it pays dividends for them to lose. Whereas in the playoffs, it's like they're all playing to win.
Yeah.
These teams playing hard, they're all playing to win. So I don't think you'll see a lot of blowouts per se. But I mean, you might very well this week. But yeah, I'll be back in the underdogs.
Nice. 2 questions. Well, first one, to reference one of my favourite lines from a movie, Philadelphia, Denzel Washington's character, talk to me like I'm a 2-year-old. I know nothing about NFL, so I've gathered from those 2 different conferences, the 2 teams that have bypassed this wildcard round had the best records in a conference.
Correct. That's exactly right. So the number 1 seed. So the team in the NFC with the best record gets a bye this week, which is the Detroit Lions. So they finished the season 15-2, and then you have the Kansas City Chiefs 15-2 as well in the AFC. So they're the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. All right, they're probably favourites to win their 3rd. They got pumped though, 30. Denver won. I
want to know why.
Denver, they played all their second stringers.
That's what I thought.
So Denver played. Denver absolutely. That's what I mean. That's Denver coming off a pretty confident win, even though they beat nobody. It's literally the equivalent of an AFL team fielding all their VFL side and saying, "Hey, go play against who they played."
The Dolphins.
Even if it was the best team in the AFL, like even if it was the Brisbane Lions fielding their second team against West Coast Eagles. The West Coast Eagles would still beat the Brisbane Lions 2-0.
Yes.
That was pretty much the equivalent of it. But it should be. The players really good. Like the NFL's really good at watching the players. So.
And now that we're in this round where there's 6 games, how do they determine who plays who, and do they now cross conferences?
So they're all seeded depending on their records. So they never cross conferences until the Super Bowl.
Right.
So it's always the same deal. The best team in the AFC plays the best team in the NFC.
Right.
So you'll never get 2 AFC playing a Super Bowl, 2 NFC playing a Super Bowl. It's the same with, which doesn't necessarily mean, everyone knows this, it doesn't really mean the 2 best teams play in the Super Bowl. Exactly like the NBA in the conference finals. You get the best team from the West, the best team from the East. But they might not necessarily be the 2 best teams in the NBA. One of them will definitely be one of the best teams in the NBA. We know that. But, the best team in the West might be the 4th best team in the NBA because there might be 3 better teams in the East. So you'll have, sometimes they say the conference championship games essentially the Super Bowl, because you sometimes will have the 2 best teams. No doubt whatsoever, the AFC this season has been a lot stronger than the NFC. So the best teams in the NFC are Philadelphia and Detroit. But that being said, this year, I don't think there's any doubt this year, the 2 best teams in the NFL are Kansas City and Detroit. So if they beat the Super Bowl, it will be the 2 best teams.
Okay, so that would be justice.
Correct, that would be justice.
Kansas City, Detroit.
If Kansas City play Baltimore or Kansas City play Buffalo in the AFC Championship, you can make an argument that could be the Super Bowl. Like they're one of they're potentially the 2 best teams playing if in the NFC Detroit gets beaten in the divisional round. It's just something to consider. No, that's how it works. So they get the bye off, and then it's by the seeds. I don't have it in front of me at the table, but Detroit will play maybe the winner of the 4 seed versus 5 seed in the NFC or something like that.
And do they seed them by their records? They lost records?
Yeah, they seed them by their records, yeah.
Okay.
In the conference. So they're seeded per conference, they're not seeded. So you got, X amount of teams in the playoffs, like Detroit's the number 1 seed in the NFC, and then you see the rest of the teams. No one seed in the AFC, see the rest of the teams. So it's not like it goes 1, 2, they don't like to seed in your conferences.
Okay. And divisional wise, if you win your division, that sort of gets you an automatic entry.
Automatic entry in the playoffs. Every division winner, and then they have wild card depending on the records.
Right, because I was interested with some of these divisions, right? Because there was one division where the division winner went straight through, second and third, and that division also went through, but they must have been strong.
Correct.
A different division, the winner goes through, but the other team, second, third, and fourth, didn't. So
yes.
They must have had very bad records.
Yes, correct, 100%. So it depends on the strength of the division. So the strongest divisions in the NFL at the moment, so NFC North, 3 teams got through from there. So you had Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay.
Wow.
So they all got through from their division. In the AFC North, you had 2 teams, but nearly 3. If Denver had a loss this week, to Kansas City, you would have had 3 in that division because Cincinnati would have gone through. So you had Baltimore win the division, Pittsburgh Steelers went through. And then you had divisions like the AFC South, the Texans went through because they were the division winners. They had a 10-7 record, and the rest of the teams were all under 500 and didn't get out of the division. So it's all relevant. And how it works is they all play. So you play your divisional opponent twice each year. So that's 6-year games, and then the other you do play against AFC teams, and they nominate who's going to play which division or rotate which division each year, depending on the schedule. So they have strength of schedules as well, depending on how high up you finish. So naturally, Kansas City won the last 2 Super Bowls. They technically should have the hardest schedule each year to try and make it more even and try and make the competition more even. It's good to follow though. There's a lot of it can be a slow game watching it, but if you've got time, because it does drag on, especially if it's a close game, it's going to take a time out to do it. It's just sitting, this takes forever. It does, but there's a lot of tactics in it as well. It's very tactical, the game. And things they do, the clock management is sort of at the end, how they run particular plays and they don't turn the ball over. It does become very tactical, and that's like soccer. Like soccer is very tactical as well, and soccer can be boring at times and all of that. But sometimes I appreciate the level of intelligence of coaching and things like that it takes in time. Like NFL is one of those games where coaching is really important. Like it's also
really NFL more than soccer, probably.
It's a tough question. I compare it to, say, basketball, whereas coaching, I don't think coaching is too important in basketball because you can have 1 or 2 star players who can go, we don't really need to be coached, we just win the league. But they show that. If you get 3 star players on a team, you generally speaking can, not saying you win the championship, but you'll generally go very far with players who are 3 star players. And ultimately it wouldn't matter who coach is. Whereas AFL coaching is, I think, integrally important as well. But I think with AFL too, culture of particular clubs, it's not just coaching. I think you've got but that's like any sport. I think it starts from dysfunctional teams or dysfunctional organisations do dysfunctional things, and that's why they're constantly at the bottom. If you want to use an AFL analogy, look at West Coast. They're clearly a dysfunctional club, and
North Melbourne.
North Melbourne be shit forever. They hadn't made a final since 2010, since that prelim era with Scott, where they played the prelim in 2010, I think in 2011. And then he walked away because he's obviously realised, no matter what they do, we're never going to be good. Where the Clarkson turn their around thing, I guess, is another question in itself.
Yes.
But yeah, coaching is very important in the NFL. Megally important with coaching and structures and sort of schemes and things like that, with defenses and offenses do, and preset reads. Quarterbacks are very important as well. Quarterbacks are really, really important position because you can't be that good quarterback. Doesn't matter how good your coach is and things like that. If you don't have, not saying you have to have a star, but I think to win it's safe to say to win the Super Bowl, you have to have kind of that top 10 quarterback. You can have a guy who's ranked 8, 9, not the greatest quarterback, but he has to kind of be in the top 10 to so I guess substantiate or suffice winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So no one's been a really poor quarterback and they've won the.
Oh, they have previously, but it's few and far between.
Yeah.
There's, most of the quarterbacks that win Super Bowls become Hall of Famers. They're all star players. There are exceptions. He got in print deal for my one for Baltimore. He's never a really good quarterback. There's been a few, Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl. I wouldn't say he's a superstar. But lately, if you go back, like Patrick Mahomes is a superstar. You know, you go back towards Tom Brady, Payment. They're all superstars, like who win Super Bowls. So, yeah.
And in terms of, so that's fine for the records, like for who plays who, and then you're going to go through. What's the 500? Is that like a 50% sort of thing?
Yeah, 50% win ratio. Yeah, so they play 17. They play 17 games, right? So you're not going to finish 500 for the year. You're always going to finish up at below and above because it's an uneven number.
Right.
17 games, so you're going to finish 9-8 or 8-9. You're never going to finish. They used to have 16, so it was like you could finish 8-8. But now, generally speaking, to make the playoffs, you've kind of got to win 10 games, depending on your division. I don't think there's any teams that won 10 games this year that
didn't make it.
I don't think so. They might. I'm trying to think of records in my head. Cincinnati won 9. No, I don't think there's any teams that won 10 games and didn't.
So that's a strong benchmark.
Maybe the other was one. Seattle. Yeah, Seattle won 10 games, didn't make the playoffs.
Wow.
Yeah, one team in the NFC West. Because the Rams won 10 games and they won the division and they made it. But Seattle won 10 and didn't win it in the NFC. So I think the teams ahead of them would have been, trying to think now in the NFC. So the teams ahead of them would have been Green Bay that won, I think they won 11 games. Pittsburgh only won 10 games, but they lost down a better. So how they break it down, I think if you win, there's a count back. So obviously if two teams win the same amount of games, but they played each other, whoever won that game against each other.
That's good. I like that.
There's a count back for that, but then I actually don't know how it works after that. So if you have two teams that say both finish on 10 wins, but say they never played each other, I'm like, well, how do you determine whose 10 wins were better? Do they do it against seeds or strength of schedule? Do they judge on a strength of schedule? I don't know that, but I'm assuming there's an element. There's some algorithm or formula that they have to follow to that.
Nice. Good. I used to love watching 30 for 30 docos on this, and like I still don't know the rules of, like, I watch NFL, I don't know the rules, but like I love watching those stories because the stories were so good. You had all these charismatic coaches, you had these like inspirational teams, and even in those docos they talk about, we're going to the Rose Bowl, we're going to the Cotton Bowl.
They're all the college games.
College games. It was tricky to know how they qualified for, because sort of like, oh, we're in contention for the Rose Bowl, but now we're not. Now we are. It wasn't a straightforward 1v2 sort of scenario. So thanks to educating me, so I know a bit about going into the final.
Anytime. It's good to watch. Should watch it. It's good to watch.
I'll get into it.
It takes time though. It takes time to, I suppose, develop that love for it, realize how it's working. Yeah, it does. It's like any sport though. Yeah. If you don't understand the sport at the start, you've got to watch it to understand the rules and then appreciate it and then go, oh yeah, there's a level of sophistication to this sport, etc.
It was like that with rugby league for me. For the longest time, I didn't really understand, but then lately I haven't. I really appreciate it. Now.
They're tough.
Tough athletes.
Super tough athletes.
And like you were saying with how, playing the clock in this, like I remember back when I was naive, before I really knew how NBA and NFL operated, but I was walking to the pub and I thought, I'll watch the last 2 minutes of this. I was there for like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it was just like
timeouts, stop the clock, you go to bounds, they stop the clock.
Rookie mistake from me to like...
Yeah, the last 2 minutes like an NBA game, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
No, it can take 20 minutes. It's insane. And you watch it and just go, oh wow. It's, I don't... The NBA's shit. Do you watch the NBA at all?
Not really.
It's no good now. All they do is jack threes.
Oh.
They're trying to make rules to change. They're trying to make rules now to change the rules so they can't. I don't know if they're going to cap the threes. I don't know what the plan is, but the NBA is no good until the playoffs. I'll watch the playoffs in the NBA.
Okay.
But I think it's just like, those sporting content, when they play, like, this is a great thing about the NFL is the sense of urgency, because there's only 17 games. Like, it's 1 game a week, whereas in the NBA, they play like 2 a year.
Yeah.
They're taking management off and stuff like that. It's like, there's no urgency in those games. You're like, hey, you got to still put on a product to entertain people. And I think they're forgetting that now with the NBA. Like, they're becoming so immersed in looking after players' welfare, which I'm saying is, like, it's an important thing, but you've got to also, you're putting on, even though it's a sport, you're still putting on an entertainment product. Like, you still rely, your revenue comes from fans watching and or coming to the game. So if they start disliking your product, therefore less revenue, and therefore the players end up getting paid less. So you got to take that into account. It'd be a shit job being like the commissioner of the NBA or something like that. Or no, it would. Like, people talk about these millions of dollars these commissioners get paid. It's like, would you want that job? Like, would you want to be working? Roger Goodell is the NFL commissioner, right? He's on $60 million a year, whatever it is. Like, huge, massive money, right? Massive money. How many hours that going to work?
Oh, you would be on call all the time. Everything that's going wrong.
Life would be like, everything that's going wrong. And you've got to deal with, imagine like some player goes out and like beats his wife or something like that. You'd be the first one on the phone, oh, Roger, we've got another issue with such and such from the Kansas City Chiefs who's just been arrested for DUI. Or, oh, okay, I send out a statement and do all this. Like, this could be 3 o'clock in the morning, you're getting woken up. Like,
I wouldn't want it. Nah. It's, I'm surprised that it's 17 games because we all know America's like, I mean, I know the NBA played like 80 plus, and America's like 82. More like marketing promotion, rah. And I thought they'd be like year round. I was like, oh, they'll probably play 30 games for sure. So less than the AFL, like 17 less than 22, 23 surprised me greatly.
Well, it's because the attrition rate. The injury rate in the NFL is ridiculous. It's way worse than the AFL.
The guys go down left front and center every week.
The level of violence that guys go down and they get like bad, a lot of ACLs and receivers, a lot of offensive linemen get a lot of like Achilles injuries, serious injuries. Yeah. You imagine that. You wouldn't want to know the intricacies of what goes on, like in terms of how many anti-inflammatories they're taking each week just to play, like the level of pain they'd be playing through. But yeah, that'd be a good job. Being like a team doctor and intern on an NFL team,
because you'd see everything.
Just seeing what players are taking, it would enlighten you, that's for sure.
You got qualified pharmacists
about the realities of professional sports. It's true though. There's people who are like, they get paid way too much. We're like, still doing it tough. Like, I look at every professional athlete and I go, the sheer amount of pain or work ethic they go through. I'm just a firm believer in that every athlete deserves every ounce of what they get paid, like every cent for what they get paid, because they work hard for it. Like they're not sitting like Cristiano Ronaldo's not just sitting on the couch with his feet up going, sweet, the Saudi trillionaires are paying me $200 million a year. Like he has to train every day, just to keep in shape. Like the level of discipline these people have is in like, compared to your average human being, it's chalk and check. Like you can't compare it. You can't, we got to work full time, work 40 hours a week. Like they work like 90 hours a week. Their whole life is just training and playing games and doing all these things. They should get paid accordingly for it. I don't know, be advocate of it. People, you believe the contract they're signing? Like, I can't. Because they're people are worth what someone's willing to pay, aren't they, in life? Like, everyone's worth what someone's like. If someone's willing to pay you, like Dak Prescott, who just signed a 4-year, $240 million contract, and then all the hours going, let's get $60 million a year. I'm like, he's obviously worth that. Someone's willing to pay him $60 million a year. That's what he's worth. That's his worth. Like,
that's how you deserve it.
That's how you deserve it. Yeah. That's not how.
It's the level of commitment and focus to what you're eating, to what you're doing, to what you're training to your body. Like the everyday office worker is not doing that.
No, not at all.
Doesn't translate.
Everyday office work, we don't have that money to spend. But we're not spending $2 million on our bodies actually having private chefs and all this. But I think, what a luxury that would be. I'm like, it wouldn't be too bad, but you can never stray.
No, you can't.
Like LeBron James can't just go to the freezer when he wants to and go, I'm going to shove down a pint of ice cream.
Yeah,
because his chef will stop him and be like, dude, it's not part of the meal plan. Like, you can't do that.
You're committed to this meal plan.
Yeah, you can't do that. Like, so stop. Yeah, no, 100%. Totally agree.
And then second question, at the start of the year, there was an TAB promo. It was NFL, and it was, they gave you 3 teams, and odds were like $3, $4. It was Chiefs, it was Ravens, and it was like the 49ers who just tanked to attack.
Yeah, they tanked their future this year.
So who should I lay off on is what I want to know.
As in who won't win?
As in who could win besides the Chiefs and the Ravens?
So in the NFC, Detroit.
Yeah, so for Detroit.
Yep, Detroit. I think Detroit are going to make the Super Bowl. I think they should make the Super Bowl. The only thing that will stop their offense is the number one offense, ranked offense. And pending something really bad. Their quarterback's played unbelievable. They've got a star-studded offensive line. Their offense is outstanding. It's just about their defense this year, which is sort of, I suppose, being their Achilles heel, so to speak. But I can't envisage them not making the Super Bowl. So I think Detroit will make it. I think Kansas City are the favourites. Baltimore or Buffalo will play Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. You can't bet against Patrick Mahomes next moment stuff. Everyone knows it. He's the Tom Brady now. You just don't bet against him in big games. Like, during the year, yeah, whatever. No worries at all. But in big moments, like the Super Bowl, AFC Championship, any playoff game, you don't bet against Patrick Mahomes because you'll end up losing your money. I mean, he proves that. Like,
I'm glad to be on him.
He's proved that. So I don't think you bet against Patrick Mahomes. But I think, every ounce of logic and, how they perform this year will say it will be Kansas City and Detroit in the Super Bowl. But there could be surprises. It wouldn't surprise me if Philadelphia got to the Super Bowl. Philadelphia beat Detroit, it would not surprise me in the slightest. They've been the second best team in the NFC all year, second best record in the NFC. Their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, is still in concussion protocol, which is an issue, but he'll be cleared hopefully this week or one the next week. Philadelphia had a deep roster. They match up well against Detroit. I think, they'll go well. Green Bay, I don't see them getting past Philadelphia. And then you look at the other teams, like Tampa Bay's not going to do anything, or Washington, they're not going to threaten anybody. And so I was thinking about the Rams and the Vikings. Like the Vikings could, but I mean they just got towed up by Detroit, so who knows?
But that sounds like an early move.
Yeah, but it's the NFL. I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think the Vikings are Super Bowl ready yet. There's probably got a few weaknesses that need to be addressed, but I think I haven't looked at the odds, but I'm going to assume
Detroit was about 420, 440.
So Detroit and Kansas City are going to be his favourites.
Okay, so I'll allow from Detroit, make a little bit on the Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're safe bets.
Nice.
Safe bets. I think you wouldn't go wrong being on those 4. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm going to follow that absolutely. I don't know, that was in depth. That was insightful NFL commentary. I am drawn this week for the sport to it's Big Bash cricket, and it's a promo on sports bet 3 legs, miss one, get bonus back. So I'm going to take the 3 legs, go to Constas to get 10 or more runs, just hoping that he can carry across that form from the test squad and do well there. Stanley to get 1 or more wickets. So he was about $1.20. Constas was about $1.30. And then McDermott to hit a 6, 1 or more sixes. That was about $1.65. So all up, it's $2.80, $20 on, 56 potentially back. And then bonus bet back if I just miss 1 leg. So for me, there's nothing really, apart from AFL, which is all I can really talk about at the moment with any sort of detail. I'm just going to sort of ride the promos and see what can happen. Nice.
Good luck.
Thank you. Well, I'll be paying more attention than I ever have.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. And bets will be on screen. Both Clay's, both mine, and sports as well. We need to. I need to chuck something on this NFL multi because that sounds good with the spreads. So good luck to you. And there's a lot on this weekend. Good luck at Magic Millions. Good luck at Flemington. Have something on some outsiders in the 2-year-old race, perhaps. And we'll see you next week. Thank you for coming on. And
Thanks all. That's good.
Oh, good. Great. Okay. Good luck.
And then came Sweet Liaison as they turned for home. Jefferson, he's been in front every inch of the way. He's out like 2.